This has been a rumor for a very long time, such a persistent rumor that then in July of this year, President Trump went and had a discussion with his chief of staff and asked him reportedly to stay on through 2020, to which Chief of Staff John Kelly agreed and then went back and told his staff that he would stay until then. That kind of made the rumor stop for a little bit, but then they picked back up again. And we've been hearing this rumor for quite a while now. Back in November, our chief White House reporter, John Roberts, reported that President Trump was considering 3 different potential shakeups to his cabinet staff, and that Chief of Staff John Kelly was one of those potentially being discussed. But again, after months of rumors, perhaps whispering back and forth of if this would happen, President Trump finally saying today that it will happen, and it'll happen at the end of the year. Take a listen.
John Kelly will be leaving at the end of the year. We'll be announcing who will be taking John's place. It might be on an interim basis. I'll be announcing that over the next day or two.
Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, Nick Ayers, has long been rumored as the most likely or top contender for replacing Chief of Staff John Kelly. Again, Fox's John Roberts reported back in November that when these potential changes to the cabinet were being discussed, that Ayers is a name that came up, that Ayers is someone who is respected at the White House. They think he's a smart manager and good political operative, and someone that President Trump likes quite a lot. Obviously, we heard from President Trump there that the next person appointed could just be on a temporary basis. But if you guys remember, in just this last month, just a couple of weeks ago, Fox News Sunday, Chris Wallace sat down with President Trump. He asked him about that plan that was made back in the summer to keep Chief of Staff John Kelly until 2020. And President Trump seemed to throw some doubt into that timeline when he spoke with Chris Wallace. He said that there were some things that Chief of Staff John Kelly does really well that he liked, but there were some things that he didn't necessarily like. Chris Wallace then pressed him again to say, so is 2020 not necessarily set in stone? And President Trump said that we would see. Obviously, fast forward to just a couple weeks in front of that interview, and we now know that Chief of Staff John Kelly will be leaving at the end of this year.